So, namaste everyone. Welcome to the session. So, today we have the session on back pain and body posture. So, many of the patients that come to us, especially in pranic healing, have issues related to their spine, related to their low back. So, here we have Dr. Neha Sawant. We have taken a lot of physiotherapy sessions with her, and we've heard a lot of webinars she has taken in the past, and we really found that she is amazing with her techniques and her exercises. I went also through her YouTube channel, so I really felt that this session might benefit all of you, because especially in this lockdown we have this tendency that we are mostly in a sitting job, not stretching much. So at least if we can learn certain simple techniques which we can apply and also understand the anatomy of our back, I think that can really help us. So Dr. Neha Sawant, I welcome you. Thank you for taking up this session for all of us. And over to you now.
So, hi everybody, I'm Dr. Neha Sawant. I have been in this field since 12 years, and since I passed out, I'm just learning about this field because I'm very passionate about the physical body and just helping the people to get rid of the pain and just achieve the movements and all. So it's been very passionate year so far, and we are working in our clinic since almost 9 years. And I'm doing this camps also, physio awareness camps, and we try to do it physio awareness camps once a month so that we can make people aware of their body, their postures, so that it is very much useful for us, because when we make them aware of their body, like where the pain can be, because of what it can be, and they can help themselves, and when they come to us for any problem and if we explain them what it is, they get connected with it and the recovery is very faster, so they can help themselves and our job is also much easier to help them, right? So next slide, Pooja ma'am. So these are the few picks which we were doing last year, and this year most of the people are they are at home, and this is the time to go within more. So we are at home, and we can just utilize this time to just go within, get connected up with our body, so that we will come to know how our body works. So in daily activities, what happens? We use our so many muscles and so many movements we do in daily activities. We are really not aware of it because we do it so unconsciously. So whenever the injury happens and whenever the pain happens, that time we understand, okay, there is some problem and this muscle is paining. Even the small joint when it pains, then we understand, oh, this joint exists. Otherwise, we just don't care about it. We just keep on doing with our work and all, right? So this is our aim of this webinar today. Can I have the next slide, ma'am? Yeah. So today's aim of this webinar is mostly that I want that everybody should get connected with their body, right? So that I can teach you how to take care of your body, and it will be like our job will be easier if you take help of any of the physio, if you go for any condition, and when they explain you what is actually the problem is, you understand it very well, and you give the better response, and you get the better recovery. So that's the aim of this webinar today, and I'll try my best to give the best knowledge of mine. Okay. So next we will start first with the ma'am, next slide. Yeah. So today we are doing the low back pain, right? It's very common condition. Like any of the 10 people from, if we just see, everybody is just complaining about the back pain. So they have the chronic pain or the acute pain. They just lift something and they get pain, something, right? So many of the people have dealt with low back pain any of the time. कभी भी ऐसा हुआ रहेगा कि just for 2 days it's paining, or since 4 months it's paining. So many must have experienced it, right? So today we will see what is this low back is all about. What are the muscles? What are the posture? What are the movements of this back, which are helping us to do our daily activities, right? So what are the actually forces we use, so that if we understand it very well, how it works. So when you do the daily activities, what mistakes we usually do while in the daily activities that will lead us to this pain. So if we understand these mistakes, if we can make those corrections, we are not supposed to do this, we have to do this way. So that will help us not to do those mistakes, and that will help us to just do a better, to live a better life, right? So we will go on the next slide. First, we will see what is this back consist of. So first we will see what is this normal spine is, right? So as you can see in the picture, it's the whole spine from the neck towards till the tailbone we can see, right? So that is divided into four parts. First is the cervical part, that is our neck part. Then is the thoracic part, that is our chest part. Then the lumbar part, which is our low back area, and the pelvic part, where the sacrum and the tailbone comes, right? So these are the four areas actually in the spine we deal with. So when the spine works, it doesn't work only at one portion, right? It works in a whole. If you, though you have a pain only in certain area, it doesn't mean that the other spine or this things, other cervical spine or thoracic spine, they are not working. In fact, if you are having a pain in lumbar region like a low back pain, your cervical spine and thoracic spine, it works more, right? Because they have to compensate whatever the pressure which is coming on the lumbar portion. So we need to understand the whole spine first, how it works, what are the musculature, and how the what are the normal curvatures of it, right? So that we can help us to understand it. So this is a normal spine. We are saying this is a cervical, thoracic. In the layman, if you want to understand in the simple language, first is the neck portion, then comes is the chest portion and the upper back portion, then the lumbar portion, that is the low back area, and then the pelvic portion where the sacrum and the tailbone which comes, right? On the other pic you can see is are the all the muscles, right? So you have the neck muscles, then you have the paraspinal muscles, then you have the latissimus dorsi. These are all the names in the medical terms actually. But I just wanted you to understand how these muscles are. That's why I put this pic. So this is like these muscles are intertwined with each other. It's not just one muscle working in the whole spine. Your neck is comprised of another muscles. Your thoracic spine is getting worked by another muscle. Your lumbar area is supported by another muscle. But together they are intertwined with each other, right? So if you are having problem in one muscle and one area, other part of the spine and other muscles, they have to sometimes work more for it to compensate it, right? So these are the muscles, and along with these back muscles, frankly, our core muscles, that our abdominal muscles also plays very important role for the strength of your back, because core muscles are your abdominal muscles and these are your back muscles, right? So when your core muscles are strong and your back muscles are strong, they hold your spine together very well, right? But if your core muscles are weak, as I said, your back muscles, they will have to compensate for it, right? And then that will lead to any kind of pain or any kind of condition of the back. Vice versa, if your back muscles are also weak, your core muscles are tend to get weak because your back muscles are not able to hold your spine straight. So the pressure comes on the core muscles, your abdominal muscles, right? And then the balance between the core muscles and the back muscles, it gets imbalanced and that leads to the pain in the back, right? So we will see how it works. So next slide, ma'am. So what happens when the low back pain or any kind of pain you get in your body? These are the general terms I have put in the slide. So how are the early warning signs and symptoms? It's like first you will start aching, okay, considering the pain in your low back. You will start feeling the pain at either on one side or both the sides. You will feel the tenderness in some point. You might get some swelling at some point. You will get pain. Then bending or flexing, bending forward, or if you are lifting anything, that will get painful. Or if the nagging pain is there, you will keep rubbing that area over and over again. You will just feel the discomfort in that area, right? So you will not understand that this might lead to any problem, that these are the early warning signs. So most of the time, if we take care in this stage, when you are just started with some pain or discomfort, so if you take care at this stage, recovery is faster, right? Because you are taking early steps for it. But if that lead to second step like tingling in the leg, if you are feeling the tingling, if you are feeling the numbness in the leg, if you are walking and you are feeling the weakness in the leg, like you just have to pull your leg forward. So that is something that the condition has increased, right? And that might take some time to recover. That might need some rest, that might need some medications also, right? And that might need some physiotherapy sessions in the clinic also, right? You might also get the trouble sleeping also due to pain. So that is kind of a second stage. And the third stage, which we call this as a work-related musculoskeletal disorder. This is a short form. I repeat, it's a work-related musculoskeletal disorder. Why I have termed it like that? Because what I have observed in so many years is that other than accidents, other than fractures, other than sudden falls, whatever all condition happens, it happens because of our daily activities and how we do it. It's you just have a sudden fall, you have a fracture, or you have an accident and you get an injury. That's another part because the history becomes a complete different part, and the recovery and the treatment becomes a different part. But when we see about the cases like low back pain, we always ask for the history, and history is always related with their daily activity, right? Because that's why I've termed it as a work-related musculoskeletal disorder. So it depends on your type of work. If you are a housewife, if you have to lift many things over and over again, or if you have to stand for a long time, if you are using tap and all, and if they are far and you have to bend forward for a long time, these are your type of work, right? That might give pressure on your back. If you are having a IT job, right, and if you are sitting for a long time and your laptop, your table, the height of the table is not proper, so how you are sitting, the posture of the sitting is not right, that gives the continuous stress on your back, right, and that might lead to the pain. So this is how it actually develops. It's not a sudden thing. So when if you look at your pain, if you assess your pain, there might be some history of it. That this is a kind of movement which I do wrongly, and because of which I get pain over here, right? So what happens in this is like you will observe that your decreased strength, the strength of doing that movement or of that muscle, it gets decreased, right? Then the loss of joint movements, the range of the movements, they are also decreased. So if many patients always then complain that they cannot bend forward much. They find stiffness or they get lot of pain. So the range of movement like bending forward is affected. Then decreased coordination means dropping things. This is mostly related with the upper limb that because if the grip strength is weakened, but this is we can relate it like if they cannot lift the weight or if they have to travel for long hours, they cannot sit for long time. If they sit for the long time, if they try to stand, they start getting pain. If they stand for a long time, they start getting pain and they feel like the legs is getting pulled down, they need to sit, they cannot stand for a long time. So these are the many signs and symptoms or many complaints they give us when it is actually turned into this work-related musculoskeletal disorder. So these are the early warning signs and symptoms which you can relate to your pain or your discomfort either with the low back pain or any other condition because it's very common. So we have to see where our pain lies, how it has started. So I will be explaining you how to assess that pain later. So next slide we will see now. Ma'am, next slide. Yeah. So this is how it happens. So here, as you see in the slide, it's ergonomic risk factors and individual risk factors, right? And the other where the seesaw is there, that seesaw is fatigue and recovery, right? So in our daily activities, what can be the ergonomic risk factors? It's your working time, if you are having overtime, if you are exposure to the risk factors. Risk factors like you are traveling for long hours every day, and the seat which you are using in the office is very hard, or if you are traveling through bus, if the seat is very hard, or the roads are not fine, and you have to just go this way on the road, and you get jerks to your back. So these are the environmental factors. These are the outside factors, right? So that also affects you because that is happening daily, right? The force is coming daily on your back. And what can be the individual risk factors? Individual risk factor first comes is your rest. So after working for whole day, if you are not getting proper sleep, if you are not able to sleep properly at night, and you are not lying down on a proper bed, or the posture in which you are lying down is not good, that is one of the factor. Other factor is diet. If you are not having proper food, it should be balanced, like it should have protein, it should have vitamin D, it should have calcium or multivitamin, carbs, everything, right? So if it is not balanced, it will not happen in 1 day or 2 days, that you will not understand that I didn't have it for 2 days, so now I will start with the back pain. No, this happens eventually. So that the changes in your lifestyle is the most important thing that you should do. So you should work on your diet, you should work on your sleep patterns, you should work on the regular exercises. So if you are doing exercises regularly, what happens is that if in the morning if you are doing exercises and then going for the work, you have already moved your spine very well. You have flexed it, you have stretched it, and already it is open, right? But if you are not doing exercises, you are just getting up in the morning, just doing your household chores, everyday chores, and just rushing to your office hours or household work, what happens is that your joints are not open, right? So whatever stress is coming on your body, it gets accumulated in your body, and that gives the muscle tightness, that gives the stiffness. If you ignore it first or for some days and all, then this stiffness leads to the decrease in the movement, this stiffness leads to pain, then you will understand that this movement I'm not able to do, you are not able to bend forward, or you are not able to lift it. If you lift it also, you start getting pain. So these are the symptoms you see later. But if every day you are taking care of your diet, if you are taking care of your exercises, if you are taking care of your sleep patterns, if you are taking care of your posture, that how you are sitting in the office or at home, how you are traveling in the car or in the bus, how you are sitting, are you taking proper support, whatever it is, if you are taking the proper steps to it, whenever this pain happens also the severity is not much, because you are already put that strength in your muscles and the spine, that whatever stress is coming, it is getting properly absorbed and it is getting relieved every day as you are doing all this thing. But when you are not doing this thing, the seesaw which I have kept it in this slide, like fatigue and recovery. So fatigue when happens, when you do these daily activities, so your muscles are getting fatigued. But if you are not having proper rest, you are not having diet or exercises, recovery is not happening, right? So the balance between the fatigue and the recovery is not there. And when the fatigue is more and recovery is less, right? What happens is the musculoskeletal disorder, right? So if you will keep distance balance between the fatigue and the recovery, right, that will not lead to any musculoskeletal disorder. So that's the point I have to explain in this point, that the ergonomic factors are your environmental factors, whatever the outside factors, and individual risk factors are your lifestyle, your fitness, your diet, your sleep, even your mental health, right? Because in such cases, even the stress and other factors also causes this pain, right? So these are the 2 points where you have to see that what is the thing which is affecting my back or affecting my lifestyle, which is giving me this pain, right? So next slide we will see what are the causes of the low back pain, right? As I said that these are the this most of the pain happens in the daily activities or daily routine. It happens, so it can be improper lifting. You are just it's very heavy and but nobody is there to help you, but you are like, no, I have to do it, and you just take it how much ever you can, and you are just bending sideways and just lifting it this way, and it gives the strain in your this back. Okay, many patients comes like that, that they're like, "Okay, we lifted it and then we started a pain. Now we are not able to move it. We feel our spine is soft." Because first thing is that maybe your lifting pattern is wrong. Secondly, the weight you are taking, if it is not, if it is more than is expected by your spine or from yourself, then it will lead to the sprain in your back, right? Then next is excessive abrupt pulling or pushing. like you are just pushing something or pulling something which is very heavy and you are not having any help, but you have to do it, kind of. So that may lead to the pain. For many of the patients say that while doing it, we didn't feel any pain. But later, maybe they take rest and in the morning when they get up, they feel that they cannot move. Because the symptoms may not occur that time, right? Because you use all of your force from your body to just push or pull that and you feel you have done it, right? But when you rest, your body is trying to recover from that, right? That whatever force you have given to your body. But if it is not getting recovered very well, when you get it in the morning, you start getting those symptoms that it has not recovered very well or some part of it has injured, right? Then next is improper posture. Improper posture, if you are working in a IT company and you are just sitting this slouched kind of thing every day for years, you are sitting this way. So that will change the shape of your spine. Eventually, it will change the shape of your spine. Eventually, the pressure coming on the muscles which are supporting the spine, that will change. You will start taking the trigger points. Trigger points in the sense those are points which many of the patients says that this is very common point. We feel pain, and it's since long. Sometimes it is very much. Sometimes it is fine. We can just work on that way. But sometimes it is very much more that we cannot bear it, but it is always there because of you are putting the improper posture. See, if you are sitting this way and if you are working, your back is round, right? And if you are not supported in the low back also, you are just sitting slouched. The constant force is coming on your spine and the muscles, which leads to the low back pain, right? Next is the fracture of the spine. If you just fall down suddenly and on your back, then that can lead to the fracture of the spine. So if the fracture of the spine is there and the doctor has told you to give some rest till it's healed, right? And later what happens, the stiffness is there because you cannot move the spine, so muscles get stiff. So that's the another line of treatment we have to deal with it. Next is osteoporosis. Osteoporosis is what? It's the bone density is less, right? So if your body is having deficiency of vitamin D3 or calcium, it may eventually lead to reduce the density of the bone. So if there is density in your body, deficiency in your body, like bone density is less and all, there will be a constant pain in your spine, in your all other joint. There will be the multi-joint pain, right? So that you will feel that it's paining. I've done so many things. I'm taking painkiller. I'm doing hot fermentation. I'm not doing a single work also. Many patients tell me that it pains. So my family members have told me not to do work. Just take rest. I'm taking rest also, but still I'm not recovering because if you are having something deficiency inside your body, whatever you do outside of your body, like if you do physiotherapy, you do home these sessions, hot pack sessions, you do exercises, whatever, but till you just fill out those deficiency, you will not feel better, right? So if the calcium is less, vitamin D is less, what happens is that your bone density gets down and then the bones become weaker. If the bones become weaker, there are the degenerative changes that happens in the spine. So muscles also gets weakened because they are not able to support the spine. So the stiffness is there, then the pain is there, then the range of motion, your movements that are affected, right? So that's why we have to see if there is any deficiency. Now, most of the women, they suffer from this osteoporosis because after a certain age, as they are suffering, as they experience periods, then they go through the menopause, right? So, in the whole, though they are having normal periods, though they are having abnormal periods, they are going through menopausal stage, or many females have achieved menopause, right? What happens is that throughout the period, in the whole life of female, if we say, there are lots of hormonal changes happening in the body, right? So because of these hormonal changes, there is always up and down in the calcium level because of the hormonal changes. So if the vitamin D is less, and though you are taking any milk or any calcium tablets, your calcium is not getting absorbed in your body because the vitamin D is less. Vitamin D helps to absorb the calcium in the body, right? So if you are not using, if you are not taking vitamin D supplement with the calcium, it will not help the calcium to get absorbed in the body. So you will feel I'm taking calcium, but still it's there because your vitamin D might be less, right? So if at all you are having chronic pain, and if we check in the history of the patient that pain is since long and they are having generalized pain in the paraspinal muscles and multi-joint pain, we always tell them to check the vitamin D3 also. Because when we just start taking those supplements and then we do all these side things like exercises and physiotherapy sessions if they need it and all other postural alignments and postural exercises, then they start getting recovery because whatever is less in their body is getting filled up, right? And the bone health is the main important thing because your bone density is the important because it gives the structure to your body. So if the bone strength is less, your muscles also gets weakened, right? So this is a very important point we should consider while if there is long time pain you are having. So next point that is the same, the deficiency of vitamin D3, calcium, vitamin B12. Even vitamin B12 also plays very important role because what happens is that it helps in the protein kind of strength, right? So we have to give strength to the muscles, right? This vitamin B12, if it is less, the muscular weakness, generalized muscular weakness you will see, right? So even that deficiency you will have to check out if you are having chronic low back pain. Next is ruptured disc. I will show you the pic of it later in the slide. Ruptured disc is also most of the time it is because of the what we say is improper posture, and if you have had a fall in improper posture or improper position, then if you lift something very heavily and your position was not good, that can lead to the ruptured disc. Most of the time it is because of the accidents. So if ruptured disc is there, we have to give rest and all, and in that you are tend to get a low back pain, right? Then the core muscle weakness. As I explained you earlier, core muscle weakness as you are having abdominal muscle. Many people you must have seen they have big abdomen, right? And if they are having big abdomen, their back is curved from, so if you see from the back or from the sideways, their back is curved like this and their abdomen is like this, right? So there is a constant force coming on the spine, on the low back region, and that may lead to the low back pain, right? So, ma'am, last one. Huh. So next is degenerative changes. It's because of the age, right? It's age-related changes. These are very common. So it depends on how much your degeneration is there. And next is blockage in the basic chakra. So this is something related to the healing, and this is very much I have experienced since I have learned the basic and advanced pranic healing. That apart from our physical body, there is also an energetic body around us, right? So when we get back pain, one of the reason can be the blockage in the basic chakra. And if we just keep healing the basic chakra, and if we just keep doing exercises for the low back pain, even the basic chakra gets cleared and energized, and vice versa. So that helps in to reduce the low back pain, right? So next slide we will see. Ma'am, next slide. So this is a very generalized. We are going to see what are the types of the back pain, how we actually see it. So on causes, if we see, it's a mechanical and inflammatory, two types. In that inflammatory, those red flags are there because these are sudden no or nocturnal pain. And red flags are like it can be because of the tuberculosis, it can be because of the tumor or other any bone infection. So this kind of pain or this kind of conditions we cannot treat conservatively, right? So we have to rule out that first. So if it is not there, we can just try all the conservative treatment form. So that comes more into the mechanical low back pain. For that, all the causes which I have explained you earlier, all those causes comes into the mechanical low back pain, right? So these are the pain from the muscle, ligaments, and joints mainly, and they respond very well to the conservative treatment. And on the basis of time period, how we just do it, the back pain is first is the acute back pain, subacute back pain, and chronic. That you have to assess that in acute back pain, it's few days to 4 weeks is the condition. If in that period you have got the back pain, we consider it as an acute back pain. Then subacute is 4 to 12 weeks because on that time period, the treatment part is connected, right? In subacute, it is 4 to 12 weeks. And in chronic, it's more than the 12 weeks or the years. People are having pain from years and years, they say. So that is considered as a chronic back pain. So you have to see now where your back pain is going in which category, right? So next slide we will see. So now if anybody of you is having back pain, you can just write it down this question or just consider this question and assess your back pain if you are having it now. So first we will is the location and symptoms. So where is the location? Is it in the one side or both the sides? Is it in buttocks or is it just in the paraspinal muscles? That you have to see where is the location and what are the symptoms. Symptoms in the sense, if you are taking rest, you will feel better, or many of the patients say that morning they get up, they get the stiffness, and as they start working, they feel better. So this depends on your thinking, how it helps you, right? So you have to see the symptoms. How is the pain when you get up, and how is the pain when you start doing your household chores, right? Next is a time since when. Since when you are having this pain. So you have to write it down since when you are having this pain. So you will have to go into the past few days to see how it has started, right? How it started. So did you lift any weight and it started, or you had traveled for long hours and the seat was not proper, or the posture was not proper, you were not having proper sit. So that can be the reason, or you had to lift some weight and you had to walk for long distance. Whatever can be the reason, and then you must have started that pain. So you have to consider that how it started. Next is aggravating factor. What are the factors which is increasing your pain? So you are just sitting, you feel better, but if you go, if you try to stand and walk, you start getting pain in your leg and your back. That can be the aggravating factor, right? Then if you are fine in when you are sitting, but if you have to stand for long hours in your kitchen, when you stand after 1 or 2 hours, it starts paining in the back. It starts pulling the muscles of your back. So that can be the aggravating factor. Next is a relieving factor. Relieving factor is when you lie down, you feel better, or when you lie down, you get pain, but when you sit and you take support for your back, you feel better. So that's your relieving factor. So you need to consider what is your relieving factor, right? Next is history of the same pain. Many of the patients have the history of the same pain. In between, they feel better, and then again they start with the pain. So you need to consider whether if the same pain had happened before also, that maybe 2 years back it was there, but you had neglected because in 2 to 3 days it was better. But this time it has just been 4 weeks, but it has not still got better. So that time there must be some sprain which got neglected, and you just kept carrying over all your work and your daily activities and stress. And now when the again that condition has reoccurred, it is not getting relief. So that can be the reason. That's why we have to consider whether you were having the history of the same pain or not. Next is history of the treatment taken at that time. So last time when you had got that treatment, have you had done any treatment for that? So what was the treatment that had got you relief? You must have just taken the rest, you felt better. You must have just taken the medications, you must have felt better. Or you just had taken some physiotherapy sessions and you must have felt better. So you need to consider that. Okay. Next is investigation, X-rays, MRIs, whatever you have taken. So we have to consider that also. Many people, many patients ask us when they are having that pain in their legs and all that, whether we need to do the MRI or not. Well, that all the time depends on your symptoms. If it is very much severe, then we need to take the MRI because we have to see the level at which the nerve is getting compressed. Is there any disc prolapse which is compressing that nerve? What are the roots that are getting compressed? So if the pain is very severe, we have to take an MRI, right? But if it is fine, you are taking rest. So on the severity scale, if we say 0 is no pain and 10 is a severe pain, right? So we have to see where it is. If it is beyond 6, 7, 8, 9, we have to see for all the investigations. But if it is down from 5, it is fine to just take the help of physiotherapy sessions and exercises and just see whether it is helping or not. If it is still not helping, we will have to go for the investigations. And next is surgery needed? Frankly speaking, most of the patients with the low back pain If they come at early stages, they don't need surgery, right? When we say that surgery is needed, is only when that your leg is getting weakness, you have to push your legs or pull your leg forward. You are not able to lift your leg, or the pain is so severe that you cannot get up and you cannot walk. You get numbness, and your muscles have got this reduced. The bulk size had got reduced, muscle bulk. That time we think that yes, surgery is needed. But if you are just coming in the early stages of your back pain, I don't think so. You will need any surgery kind. Okay. So next slide. So these are some pics in which I am going to explain you what are the conditions. When we say low back pain, there are so many conditions we have to consider. That's why we do the assessment. So first is the kyphosis, is the hump back, right? So in that your spine, your upper back spine, it is getting forward, right? And that gives stress on your low back. Second is scoliosis, in that your spine is going laterally. Okay, it is getting turned laterally. So your musculature is getting imbalanced, and that may lead to the low back. Next is lordosis. Lordosis, which I have said that if the people are having a big tummy, their low back is getting curved this way. From back side, if you will see a big curve. So that is a lordosis. So that gives constant force on your low back. Next is the disc bulge. Disc bulge, as I said, that if it is herniated disc, as you see in the pic, it is compressing the nerve passing through that vertebra, and that may lead to the pain in the nerve, right? Next is ligament sprain or strain. So that is just at the level of ligament or the muscles which are covering the spine. It is not affecting your disc or it is not affecting your nerve, but you are lifting something, and then if you are doing this, I've got one question. What causes kyphosis? Kyphosis is mainly because of the posture. If you are sitting slouched for a long time, and if you are working this way, your this front muscles they get tight, right? And that may lead to the kyphosis. Second reason, if you are having too much of height, whenever you are dealing with other people, you are tend to just bend forward. Even if you are sitting also, if you are standing also, if your height is more, you are tend to bend forward constantly, and that may lead to the kyphosis. Most of the reason of the kyphosis is the sitting posture and slouched posture, right? Because we are sitting, even in the students, we will see that if they have to sit for the long time, they just sit slouched, and that leads to this kyphosis. And another reason is the old age. Old age, because the spine is getting weaker, they are tend to bend forward. That leads to the kyphosis, right? So we were on the ligament sprain and strain. So in that, it is on the ligament and muscular level. It is not going to the spine level, any of the disc level or the nerve level. Next is the sciatica and lumbar radiculopathy. So this is the main, very common condition we deal with. In that, because of the disc, what happens? The sciatic nerve, which is passing through this lumbar region, it gets pressed, and this sciatic nerve, it is traveling to the till up to the toes, up to the your toes, right? So you get pain throughout your legs. So that is what we call as a sciatica. So these are the very general conditions, right? So whenever the low back is coming, so there are so many conditions. We have to first see what is the main reason and what is the condition is there to consider, like is it because of the sprain only, or is it a sciatic pain, or is it disc bulge, or is the postural pain, right? So next slide we will see some more conditions. Next slide please, ma'am. Yeah, so this is a piriformis syndrome, we say. It is a false sciatica, we say, because this piriformis muscle, which is in the glutes region, in gluteal region, it's a deep muscle inside, and it has two heads like this, and through which this sciatic nerve passes, right? So if you see, it has got two heads like this, and the sciatic nerve passes through it. Okay, so what happens in that, when the piriformis muscle is tight, okay, the nerve which is passing through that, it is getting pressed, and then you get pain in the whole leg. So it might not be at your spine level. The nerve is fine at your spine level, but it is getting pressed at your muscular level, at the piriformis level, which is giving pain in your whole leg. So this is a piriformis syndrome. So whenever patient comes with sciatica, we have to just check for the piriformis also. And most of the time, piriformis muscle is tight. And if we just release that muscle, the pain gets relieved, right? Next is SI joint pain. Now, as you see the SI joint, it is marked in red over there. So it has got an SI ligament, sacroiliac ligament, and it is very stretchable. Most of the women who are having normal delivery, what happens during the normal delivery, that ligament gets stretched, right? And if it is not recovered, the joint it is quite movable, and the stability is less in that joint, which leads to the SI joint pain. Many pain, if we consider who are having SI joint pain, if they are keeping wallet at the one side of their pocket, and then if they are sitting and on that on that wallet, there is imbalance between their SI joint, and that may lead to the pain in the SI joint, right? Next is spondylolisthesis. In the listhesis, what happens that your vertebra, okay, so if these are your two vertebra, your vertebra slides forward, okay. So because of which what happens, whatever the articulation, whatever the contact is there with ligament and muscles, it gets broken, right? It depends on the grades of it, but most of the time it's grade one and grade two. It can be managed by the conservative treatment, but grade three we cannot manage with the conservative treatment. Okay, so in the spondylolisthesis, the exercises which we are giving are completely different because the condition is completely different. Okay, so we have to see, that's why we have to see what is the type of pain it is and what is the type of this low back pain, what is actually the condition is. And next is the sciatic and lumbar radiculopathy, where the sciatic nerve is getting pressed at the lumbar region itself, in between the spine, from where those sciatic nerves are coming. So from there, the sciatic nerve is getting pressed, right? So these are the some main conditions we actually deal with. So there are so many conditions under one umbrella, low back pain, right? So whenever you are having a pain, we have to first see what kind of condition it is because of which you are having pain. Okay. So next slide. So how to manage your back pain? So I hope till now everything is clear, and we will now go to the management of the back pain, right? So this is the management now we are doing. Now we have understood what the condition is. Okay, what kind of pain it is, where the actual location, what are the aggravating factor, what are the relieving factor, everything. So now how to manage it? Now we have understood what is the pain. Okay, where is the pain, how it had happened now. Okay, so we will see how to manage it now. First is the pain relief we have to see, and support. Now this pain relief and support is mostly we use in the acute stage, but when we put it in the category acute stage, okay, that is from the day 1 to 4 weeks if we consider. So, or the sudden sprain you have got in the back, or you just got up in the morning and you cannot move. So in that condition, usually ice pack is needed. Okay, so in the acute stages, whenever there is a sudden pain in your back, we use ice pack. Now, why ice pack? Because whenever there are sudden changes or sudden force in your spine, there is inflammation causing in that area. So ice pack helps to reduce that inflammation. Okay, so that's why in acute stages, mostly we use the ice pack and the lumbar belt. Okay, and in the chronic conditions, like if you are having pain since many days, in that we use hot pack and the lumbar belt. Right now, in lumbar belt also, patient ask us that we should not get dependent on it. Of course, you should not get dependent on it, but you should do regular exercises for it to strengthen your muscles. Right? You are not doing the exercises and you don't want to get dependent on it. It will not work, right? Because you are using the support. You are using the support for your back, because your muscles are not able to give you support. So if you are keeping the strength of the muscles of your back to support your spine, you will not need the belt. But if you are not able to support your spine with the strength of your muscles, you will have to use the belt, right? So for that, you can take the help of physiotherapists, because they give you the proper exercises and they tell you when to use belt, when not to use belt, right? So when you are not supposed to use the belt, first is when you are taking rest. So when you are lying down, you are not supposed to use the belt. If you are sitting supported, you are not supposed to use the belt. You can take proper pillow support to your back, and you don't need to use your belt. But if you are traveling for long hours, or if you have to stand for long hours, if you are walking, you have to use the belt in that cases, right? And as the pain gets recovered, we can reduce the frequency of using your bed. So if you are feeling that while walking I'm not having pain much, you can just skip that. Maybe after some days, if you are doing regular exercises, maybe you are standing for half an hour and you are not getting pain, you can skip that. But it just you have to take the call according to your recovery. But if you are doing all those exercises and you are having still having pain in the activities, just for the time being, it is also always better to use the bed, right? That will not increase the condition and that will give you the support, right? So next slide. So these are the resting position, how we are supposed to rest. Okay. So first I will explain you, and while doing the exercises, I can just show you also how we are supposed to use those pillows. So first, when you are sleeping on the supine position, like on your back, what you can do is first pillow, if you will sit here at your neck, that should be until your shoulder level. Okay. You just can't keep the pillow here so that your neck is hanging, because that gives pressure on your uh, can you clarify when to use hot pack and when to use ice pack? Okay, I'll explain again maybe later. So this pillow is like till shoulder you have to take it so that your whole neck is supported. Then second, you can take a Turkish towel roll down to your back. So that will support your spine. And third is you can take it below your knees so that the pressure coming on your back, if you are having a lot of this and radiating pain in your back, if you take a pillow below your knee, that gives support, that doesn't give stress on your back, and that supports your back, right? So this is the first position you can use it when you are having back pain. Secondly, if you are lying down on the sideline position, this is the position when if you are sideline, you can take the pillow below your knees, between your knees, right? So what happens, the spine doesn't get turned down, because if you are just lying down sideline and if the spine is moving this way, it will give pain. So when you keep pillow between your two knees, the spine is stabilized and it doesn't give you much pain, right? And it gives support to your spine. So if you are lying down in a sideline position, this is a position which you have to see. And next is if you have to lie down on your tummy, which is not at all, we never suggest this position, because that gives constant force, constant stress on your spine. But in many cases, they are having those who are having slip disc and all, we tell them to lie down in this position, but that is completely depends to patient, that they have to lie down in their tummy and they have to take a small pillow, right? And that will give support to their spine. And they can just lie down, turning their neck to one side. So many patients get relieved when they're having severe pain, right? So that position can be used for that. So this is a resting position. Next is sitting position. So in that we have seen the right position. So right position is the 90-90. We have to just remember 90-90. So when you are sitting this way, your spine and hips should be 90 degrees. So what you can do is you can just keep a small pillow to your low back region, so that until upper back, if you will see, she is supported, right? So that's a 90 degree, and then your hip and knees are 90 degree, and your foot are supported on the ground. Your foot are not just hanging on the ground, because that gives eventually the stress on your low back region. If at all you are taking it knees ahead, even that your muscles get pulled. If you are taking your knees behind also, even that gives curvature. If you must have observed it, that if you take your knees back and if you are working, the lumbar curvature, it increases. So the best way is the 90-90, that your back and your hip is 90 degree, hip and knee is 90 degree, and your foot are completely touching the ground and it is supported, it is not hanging, right? When if you have to tie shoes, I have seen shown in the position, you can take a small stool and you can keep your legs on that and you can tie the shoes. So what happens in that, you are not bending excessively on your back, right? So that's the best habit you can just start with. So that will just prevent the unwanted stress coming on your back. So these are the habits which we are using or which we have to follow just to relieve the unwanted stresses coming on your back. Next is in car driving, if you will see, that first is your height of the seat that you will have to adjust, because if it is not proper, you get rounded. The back gets rounded. If it is very low, your back gets rounded. If it is very high, you have to stretch your legs ahead to reach the accelerator or brake, right? So we have to see that your height of the seat is fine. Then your back support, it should be not typically straight, but slightly slanted, and you can take a small pillow to your low back also, right? Whenever you adjust the seat, you just have to first check whether your leg is reaching fine to your accelerator or clutch, right? Because when you are working this way, you are pushing your ankle, the stress comes directly to your back. So if the posture in your on your car seat is not proper, that will give eventually stress on your back, right? So in the standing posture, so first posture we will see it is very much slouched posture. So many times if we are tired and all, and if you are working, we just tend to use this posture. So that is not the posture which we are supposed to hold. The middle posture which we are saying, in this you have to just take your upper back straight this way. You can take the shoulder width and then you have to stand. Most of the people, as the third figure you must have seen, they take their abdomen ahead, right? So even that is not a position you have to just follow it. You just have to, you are not supposed to follow all this position, only the middle one where you are standing shoulder width apart and just taking your upper back behind. So that is the best position for it. Next is, next slide, ma'am. Yeah. So in the lifting, as you will see, if it is very heavy, you should always take a help, right? Then next, if it is very close, then I think I will show you it more in the practical way when we will be doing exercises, how to lift and all. But from pictures, you will understand that in the first we have seen is a lift as a team. So if it is very heavy, you always take a help. Second is you can stand in the walk standing position, one leg ahead, one leg behind, and then you can just lift it so that avoids the stress coming on your back. Next is you can squat, take your weight closer to your body, and then you can lift, right? And next is you just can use the equipment, kind of the stroller, so that you can just keep all your things in that and just have to push it. So these are the very easy ways to just avoid the stress coming on your back. And all the down picks what we have seen, these are the wrong ways to lift your any weight. And most of the time we do that because we just ignore that, we think that just for a moment we have to do it. And that leads to low back pain. Next slide. So in daily activities also we have to see our curves, how we are doing it. Now in the first peak we have seen that she is ironing the clothes, right? So in the down peak, if you will see, her curves are not fine. She's just standing and her curves has increased in the low back and she's doing ironing and all, that is giving stress. But in the above peak, if you will see, she is using a small stool, right? She is resting her one leg so that her spine is straight and she can do the ironing very well. Next is washing your face. If you will see in Don's Kapik that he's just bending forward excessively, which is not necessary. But we never, most of the time we don't realize it. We just keep doing it that way. So if we will just see that how we are bending, does it really necessary to bend that much and all? So we can just correct it. We can stand still, just walk whatever, just bend forward whatever is needed, and just whenever we are washing our face and all, we can stand straight. So that avoids the stress coming on your joint. And even in the walking, we have to straight walk and just keeping our upper back straight, not just slouch ahead. Okay. Next slide. Yeah, now we are seeing the kitchen ergonomics. Now many women have to stand for a long time in a kitchen, right? So first thing we need to consider is the height of our table, right? Or the platform we are cooking. So that should be up till your hip area so that you don't need to bend forward, right? Then all the taps or everything, it should be closer so that you don't need to bend forward. If it is very small and your basin is bigger, most of the time if you have to wash utensils and all, you have to just bend forward for a long time until by the time you just finish all your utensils and try getting straight, you start getting pain in your back. right? So that is where there are the small changes you can make it, so that if you make the tap longer, you don't have to bend forward. If you just make the platform comfortable at your area, you don't have to bend forward. If you have to stand for a long time, you can just use small stool as I have shown in the ironing position. So even if you have to stand for a long time, if you use a small stool, that will be very useful because your spine becomes straight in that. Now in this also, she is using stool for sitting. So if you are for cutting and all, but wherever you can sit, just do all the poses in sitting position. So the stress coming on your back is just relieved. And then whenever you have to cook, just stand and do all the poses, and then again you can rest. So if you make all the small changes, right? If you make all the small changes, this is like you are just not giving stress on your back, right? And that will not lead to the low back pain, right? So these are the small habits you have to follow. Whenever you have to lift it, we just become lazy to take the stool and all, as we can see, and we try to stretch as much as we can. If the thing is heavy or we are not able to take it, we just try to pull it or push it, which may lead to the strain. So if we use a small stool or a big stool as per the height, whatever the material you have to take out, it doesn't give stress in your spine, and it is very useful. So you don't need, that will not lead to any low back pain also. So these are the very small habits and very small changes in your daily activities. If you keep following it, you yourself will feel the difference that in your posture, in your confidence, and as the pain is not there, your working capability is also improved, right? Next slide. So these are the normal spine movements. Whenever we see that we are not able to bend forward, we are not able to go backward. These are not the only two movements we do. We do rotations also, right? So in our daily activities, if your rotational movement is also less, that will affect your forward and backward movement also, because the rotational movement, if it is not there, your the spine gets locked, right? And then your forward bending and backward bending, that is also affected. So every day if you are doing exercises, you should add rotational movement, side flexion movement, and forward and backward movement, because all this direction actually the spine moves. But usually in daily activities, or most of the movements are forward bending and backward bending, right? So whenever those movements are affected, then we understand we are having some problem. But if we see, if at all now also, if you just turn and check it, you might get some pain in your back if you are not doing rotational activity, right? So these are the side flexion and rotation. These are the two movements you should do it daily, so that it will keep the spine movements healthy, right? So next is, so now we will go to the exercises. So these are the pics I have given you for your reference, but I'll be showing you personally how to do it. Okay, let's see. And I will just request, if anybody wants to do it along with me, they can just try it along with me. And if any case any pain or something, if anybody is having severe pain, he is not supposed to do it. But those who are having just grade 0 to 5 and they are doing some exercises and all, they can try it, so that we can discuss it later. Okay. So first, as we discussed about the posture and all, okay. Yeah, is it visible to everybody now? Okay. So first, as I have shown you the picture of postures, right? So standing posture, as I was saying, it should be the shoulder width apart, right? And your upper back should be this way. If you will see from the sideways, most of the time when we do the household pose, we are this way, right? Or as I said, we bend forward and all. So when we try to get straight on our spine, we get pain. So whenever you are standing for a long time, and if you are standing shoulder width apart, this gives proper support to your spine, right? If you are standing cross-legged, or if you are just shifting weight on your one leg, it eventually leads to your low back, right? So, and next is lifting. Lifting, as I said, if it is light movement, many a times how you can do it, just lift your one leg back this way and just lift it. If the pain or something lighter thing is there, you can just lift it this way. So that doesn't give you pain in your spine. Next is you have to squat down, take the thing closer and up. What we do, we just try to go this way and then try to take it out. If the thing is far away, it gives stress in your back. So if you are just going down on your knees, taking this closer and then lifting it, it doesn't give one pain or any stress on your back. Next, as I have explained you, it's a walk standing position. People who are having pain in the one knee, okay? So if they are having pain in one knee, what they can do is the other knee and just try to go bend forward this way, just take it up. Even that this helps, right? Another thing, you just can use the equipment. So these are the mostly the lifting thing. If you have to lift any weight, these are the postures which you can use, right? So now, as we are standing, I will show you first standing exercises. So in that, first is spine extension. You have to take your both hands this way on your lower back area and just go back and relax, back and relax. You are not supposed to take your abs this way or bend in. Just support both the hands, support with both the hands and just back and relax. Okay? The people who are having lordosis, as I said, the big increased curve back. So if it is this way, they might be having this way, right? So this will not help them, right? What will help them is a forward flexion. So in that, we have to take our hands this way and just go sliding down and up. Again, sliding down and up. Again, sliding down. You are taking support of your hands, okay? Because if you will just try to bend it this way, the pressure directly comes on your back. So you are not doing that, you are just sliding your hands, so your hands are supporting your back. Okay? And down. So the people who are having lordosis, the increased lower curve, they have to do forward exercises. Okay? The people who are having kyphosis, like humpback, right? This way. So what they are supposed to do is upper back exercises should be more than the lower back. But when they are having kyphosis, their lower back is this way. It automatically turns this way, right? So for the lower back, they have to do the forward bending, and for the upper back, they have to do the upper back strengthening exercise. So in that, they have to take their upper back this way and hands back and hold. Then relax, shoulder back, hands back and hold. Most of the people who are having kyphosis, their neck is forward neck because of the kyphosis, right? So they have to add the chin tucks also. So the chin here, just take it inside, shoulders back and hands back. Relax, chin tuck, shoulders back and hands back. Relax, chin tuck, shoulder back and hands back. Right? So this is mainly for the kyphosis, or those who are having the flat back also, even they can do it, right? So now this we have seen for the postural pain like lordosis and kyphosis. People who are having scoliosis, they are having imbalanced musculature. So according to that, we will have to see, because if they are having curve, where they are having the convexity, we have to stretch that muscle, and other part we have to strengthen that muscle. So that we have to work patient to patient basis. But what they need to understand is that where they are having curve, if they are having curve this way, this is a portion where they have to stretch. And this is the portion which is already getting stretched, they have to strengthen it. Okay? So what they can use it while lying down or something, they can use a pillow here so that they can stretch this part, right? And while doing exercises, if they are having TheraBand or something or any weight in the hand, they can do this too, because they have to open it. Okay? This way, if they are doing it, if you are using weight in that hand, this part is getting strengthened because this is pulling it, and this part is getting stretched, right? So this is for the scoliosis. Now next we will see for the generalized low back pain, whether it is sciatica or any kind of low back pain or all the conditions what we have seen. Other than this forward moving of the vertebra, which I have explained you, spondylolisthesis. All other things, we can do all the extension exercises, but in spondylolisthesis, we are not supposed to do the extension exercises because the vertebra is already moved forward. So if you will do the extension exercises, like turning this way, it will increase or aggravate the activity or aggravate the pain, right? So we will see the lying down exercises now. I hope everybody can see it now. Right. So now, first is supine lying down. You are lying down straight, and you have to take the tummy tuck in. Just pull your abdominal muscles in. Hold it tight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Relax. Take the tummy in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Relax. One more time. Take the tummy in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Relax. Now all these exercises you are supposed to do 5 to 10 repetitions. Okay, you can start with 5 repetitions and you can progress till 10. Next is you have to take your buttocks up. So in that, when you take it up, your knees should not be touching this way. It should be properly distanced. It should be there. You are lifting your buttocks up. Your buttocks should be tight. Your tummy muscles should be tight. Just try to hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Relax. Up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Relax. Up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Relax. Okay, so this is the second exercise we are doing. Next is you have to lie down on your tummy. This way. And first is you just have to come up with till elbow level and just hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Down. Up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Down. Up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Down. Okay? And next is you have to just come up completely up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Down. Up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Down. Up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Relax. Okay. Next is we have to take our legs straight up from your hip. Hold it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Down. Other leg. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Down. Again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Down. Other leg. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Down. Okay. So next is, now we have seen 4 exercises. Next is, we have to do cat and camel. In that, when we say cat, we have to do this way. You have to take completely curve in your back and look up. And for camel, you have to take your hand back and turn your spine completely round and neck down. Right? Again, for cat, hands ahead, make your spine completely bend. And then for back, hands back, and then completely round. Hold it for some time. Again, hands ahead, and then completely curve and neck up. Again, hands back and completely round. Okay? So these are the simple exercises which you can do daily just to reduce the stress coming on your back. And even if you are having any kind of pain, these are the general exercises we usually start with in the low back pain. Now, most of the important point which most of the patients don't follow it, or most of the time if they feel they are fine, they are not having pain, they neglect it, is the stretching part. Whenever we are having pain in the spine, our other muscles are getting tight, and mainly in the back pain, our glutes and the hamstring muscles. These are the muscles which are mainly getting tight, and our hip flexors. Okay, so if along with the exercises, if you will do the stretchings also, it gives additional effect to that, and it reduces the stress coming on your spine. So I am telling you some stretches also now that you have to add in your exercise routine, so that will reduce the stress coming on your spine. Okay. So first starting with the hamstring stretch. For hamstring, this is the muscle hamstring, right? So if you will try, most of the people, if they will try to bend forward and all, they won't be able to touch their toes, and they will feel the stretch on their this part. So that is the hamstring muscle which is tight, right? So in the low back pain, you cannot directly go forward and try to touch your this, because the pain might increase. Okay, so you have to lie down, and you can make a loop of any cotton only if you are having any kind of pain. It should not be stretchable. If you are having pain, just make the loop of it. Take it in your ankle or near your toes. You have to lie down and then take your legs straight up. Okay? So you will get stretch in whole of this line. You can increase the range from here if you are having more of the pain. Take the ankle up this way, right? And then you can progress it till here, so that the whole of the muscle till your back, you will feel the stretch. Hold it for 20 counts and then relax completely. Okay? Any stretch, you have to just give the 3 repetitions, 20 counts, hold. Do it again. Just stretch it. Try to hold it for 20 counts. And then down. Right? And you have to do all the stretches for both the sides. Okay? So that will not give any stress coming on your back. Next is, you have to just bend your knees and try to take your knee towards your chest, so that your whole this muscle is getting stretched. Hold it tight. Right? 20 counts hold and then relax. Do it again. Right? Try to take it as closer to your chest as you can so that you can feel the stretch here. Right? And then relax. One more time. Just take it closer and relax. Right. Okay. Now with your hamstring and glutes, many of the patients must have felt tightness over this area, your side muscles. Okay. So we are supposed to stretch those muscles also because that eventually gives stress on your back. How to stretch that is just you have to lift your leg, keep it on the other side. Okay. With your opposite hand, keep it on your knee and try to turn it that way. You are not supposed to turn from the spine. You just have to pull your knees so that all this area gets stretched. Hold it for 20 counts and then relax. Take your leg ahead again with opposite hand here, right? And then stretch it. Hold it for 20 counts and relax. Right? So this is the third stretch we are doing. Next is piriformis syndrome, which I have mentioned in the condition, right? So that is one of the muscles which is always painful in your low back pain if you are having. So how to stretch that muscle? Considering this leg, this muscle we are stretching, what we are supposed to do is you have to hold another leg. This leg you have to keep it in number 4. Okay? With both hands, just hold your this knee and try to take it near your chest. If anybody is trying now this stretch, they must have felt stretch here. Right? And hold this area and just try to take it near your chest. Hold it and then relax. Again I am showing you. Hold another leg, affected leg this way, and with both hands just hold this knee and try to pull it. Okay? Hold it for 20 counts, 3 repetitions. So this relieves the piriformis muscles and eventually it releases the stress coming on the nerve passing through it. Okay? Next is lion stretch, which is very important if after long tiresome day also if you want to relax your back, what you can do is just go into this position. Your knees should be wide apart, how much ever you can. Both hands front and try to just go back, 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 back. And try to touch your buttocks down and head down. So whole of your this spine and this area, it gets stretched. Hold it and up. Okay? Just try to do it one more time. Okay? We will do it again. Both your hands, knees apart. Try to take your buttocks back. Right. And then relax. Right? So in this all the stretches, mainly what we have stretched is the forward bending muscles and the backward bending muscles. We have to add the rotational also, right? So in rotation, what we are supposed to do is, if you are sitting cross sitting, one leg this way, other leg here how we are taking, okay? And then try to turn. Just take your this elbow and try to lock it and try to turn it so that your rotational muscles are getting stretched properly. Right? And relax. You can do it to the other side. Right? And then try to turn. Hold it for 20 counts and relax. Okay, so this is for the rotation. For the side flexion, what we can do is, side is this movement, right? Okay, then we can either do it standing or you just have to take your legs this way. Try to hold your toes, hands up and stretch it. You will feel complete stretch over here. So, this way Hold it for 20 counts and relax. To the other side. Right, hold it and relax. So we are stretching all of the front muscles, back muscles, side muscles, rotational muscles. So if you are doing all these stretches daily, the stress coming on your back is just completely getting managed and doesn't turn into any conditions, right? So next is adductor muscles. Whenever you are having back pain, along with the side muscles, our inner thigh muscles, even that gets tightened. And if you are having too much of hamstring tightness also, if you will release this stress, your hamstring flexibility also increases. Okay, so you just have to do the butterfly exercise, right? So try to stretch it this way, and if it is very comfortable for you, you can just try to bend forward, hold it, and relax. Knees down, bend forward, hold it, and relax. Right? So these are the some exercises and stretches that you can try every day. If you will follow it, that gives you a tremendous good results. Okay. Next, one thing which I would like to add is if you are standing. Okay. So what we are supposed to do is just this way for the side stretch. Those who are not able to do which is in the sitting position, they can just stretch it this way. They can just extend their hand also, right? And this way. Okay? So these are the some stretches and exercises that we can do it. So let me just go to the through the slides also, so that if anything is missing, I can just tell you. Ma'am, can I have the slides? Yeah. So we have seen the bridging exercise, we have seen the back extension, we have seen the cat and camel, prone SLR, tummy tucking, and complete extension exercise, right? Next slide. Yeah, this partial crunches is remaining. I've shown you the standing extension and standing flexion. Next is, yeah, stretches, glute stretch, TFL with standing which I have shown. Bhujangasana is a complete extension. Lion stretch, glutes, hamstring, piriformis stretch that we are doing. Next stretch, adductor, rotational, and the side stretch, right? So only the partial crunches which is remaining, which I will be showing you now. That is for the core muscles we are doing. As I said, for the along with the back muscles, we have to strengthen our core muscles also, right? So for the partial crunches, yes. People with back pain, they are not supposed to do the complete crunches if you are having pain more. So what they can do is just this way. Hold it. Breathing should be normal. You are not supposed to hold your breath. And down. Take it up. Hold it. And down. Take it up. You have to take your tummy also in, so that improves the tone of your muscle, and relax. Right? So this is for the improvement in your core muscles, right? So these are the some exercises and stretches. So I hope this whole session is very useful for you, and I have added some value in it. So any questions or any doubts you can ask me.
Yes, Dr. Neha. So there is a question that can you clarify when to use the hot pack and when to use the ice pack?
Yeah, as I explained that if you are having a sudden strain in your back, right, or any swelling is there, that you just lift something and you started getting pain immediately, then you can use the ice pack, right? That's the acute case we are saying. So for 2 to 3 days, if there is any sprain in your back, you can use the ice pack. For swelling, you can use the ice pack. But if you are having pain for long time, it's a nagging pain and it's continuous pain, hot packs works better in that because there is muscle stiffness is added into that. So if you will do hot pack, it relaxes the muscles and reduces the pain. So in acute condition, just in case of sprains or any kind of swelling, you are supposed to use the ice pack, and all other conditions, mainly for the back, hot pack works better.
There is another question that for side sleepers, is it better to sleep on the right side or the left side?
For side sleepers, we usually depends because right or left. Is it related to the back pain they are asking, or is it related to the blood pressure? Because what happens if the back pain is there, according to the back pain, they will have to sleep, right? So if they are having back pain on the right side, they are supposed to sleep on the left side. Okay. And if they are having the pain in the mid region, they can just keep the Turkish towel as I have shown in the pic in between the gaps, so and two pillows in between the knees. So that will help them to reduce the pain. So opposite side they have to sleep where they are having pain.
Okay. There's another question from Kaveri. How much time it takes to correct acute scoliosis?
Acute scoliosis is not kind of acute, we can say, because it is postural because of the posture, right? So acute scoliosis, they will have to see at what level and what severity of the scoliosis is there and what severity is there. It depends on the angle. If it is more and if it is structural, like if the because of the muscular imbalance scoliosis is there, recovery is much better. But if the changes are more at the spine level, and if the case is more of chronic, then it takes time. But as we say that if it is postural and at muscular level, with exercises and regular stretching, and what is the main reason for that scoliosis? Is it postural or is it after the birth it is there because of the spine? So we have to consider that also for that. But regular exercises, stretches, that helps in any condition.
Okay. Is herniated disc the advanced stage of bulging disc?
Sorry, herniated disc
Is the advanced stage of bulging disc?
yes, it can be considered as that. If you have got the bulging disc of any kind at any level, and if any aggravating activity is done by you, and if this is getting herniated, it can be advanced, right? But in many cases, if the disc is already bulged, if at all there is very tremendous force coming on the spine, then only the disc gets herniated, right? It's not like if you know this bulge is there and if you are just doing the normal posture and all, it will get herniated. This bulge is because of any reason like posture or any chronic condition they are having. But other than having excessive force on that spine, the disc will not get herniated. If they lift suddenly something, then that might get herniated, but not at a normal level, it will not get herniated.
Okay, there are a few more questions. I will take it up just because people are leaving. I would like to give a small announcement that the recording of this session will be provided for 1 week. We have your mail IDs. So you will receive a mail from Tatvamasi by tomorrow, and you can access the recording with the link provided on your mail. So just I had to announce this. Then the next question is from Meera.
Okay.
She has a pain in left shoulder on the upper back and not on scapula, little above it. And she's doing healing for inflammation on that, and she's not able to lift my hand above elbow. So can you suggest anything about that?
It can be because of the muscle strain of the shoulder, right? So there are chances. What she's telling, there is this rotator cuff tendonitis. There are chances of that. So more than lifting the hand, I think first now the depends on the severity. She should first concentrate on healing first, right? Because if there is a tendonitis or any inflammation, In inflammation, if you will, she will try to do the activity, the pain will aggravate. Okay, so first her inflammation and pain should get reduced, and then she can try for the range of motion. Because inflammation is there, and in that, if she will try to lift her hand, there are chances the pain will aggravate. So right now, she should first concentrate on reducing the inflammation and pain, and that in that time she can just do the static exercises or the upper back exercises which I have shown you. So that she can continue till that, and then after the inflammation and pain gets reduced, then she can start with the activity, and that time she will be able to lift the leg because the pain will be less. So that time she can do the strengthening also, and the recovery will be better.
Okay, so question from Sanchita. I'm having a history of spondylitis. It got okay with initial physiotherapy and regular exercise medication. Now, last 2-3 days, I'm again experiencing severe back pain and spasm on my lower back. Should I follow the exercises that you showed?
Yes, definitely. And rather, what she can do is first is she should take 10 to 15 minutes of hot bath. So that will release the spasm. Then she will do the exercises and stretches. Stretches should be considered as per her convenience, as per her pain. But exercises she can definitely try. And stretches as per her convenience, she should increase the stretch. And after the exercises and stretches also, she should put 10 to 15 minutes of hot bath. So whatever the stress is coming, that will also get released and she will get much better results with that. But all these exercises she can definitely try.
Okay, question from Sue. Back, hip, and buttock pain on right side when sitting. Is this piriformis or pelvis?
Yeah. There are chances of that. And you need to check your sitting posture. As I said, if you are keeping your wallet or something on that side of the buttock or a pocket, then you should see that that should not happen. And if you are not keeping the wallet, but if your sitting position is that way that you are keeping the weight more on that side of the part, then even you should change your posture also, support your back, and along with that, you need to stretch that muscle, which I have shown that piriformis muscle stretch. So even that will help him. In fact, all the stretches will together that will give him better results.
Okay, question from Jasmine. After sitting for a long time in office or even at home, when I get up, I feel pain in my ankle of left feet. And it sometimes takes me a lot of time to balance myself. When I walk for a while, the pain goes off. I am overweight as per my height and weight. So is that a reason or?
No, for ankle, if she's sitting for a long time and then when she's standing and she's feeling the pain, there are chances her calf muscle must be tight. Okay, so when the muscles are getting tight and she's trying to move, she must not be able to balance the feet because the muscles are in spasm. So what she can do is first, if the weight is more, she will have to try for it. But along with that, if she's doing all these stretches, her whole lower body is getting stretched. So the stretch coming on her calf muscle will also get reduced, and just before getting up she should just release her ankles by doing the ankle movements rotation and just stretch her calf a bit, and then she should get up so that the whatever imbalancing thing, is happening, that will not happen. But all the stretches which we have shown it today, that will be really useful for her, so that the whatever tightness is there in her calf muscle, that will get reduced.
Okay, and question from Kaveri. If there is a condition of bulging disc, do exercise only help with lowering the pain or can it correct the condition and place the disc to normal position also?
No, the bulging of disc, once it is changed, the position is changed, it cannot be taken inside at any cost, at any point with exercises. What you have to do is you have to increase the strength of your muscles, your posture and all, and what is the reason for that bulging disc, that you have to find out. Is it, if it is posture, well and good, because you can correct it. And other than that, if the your transport is bad, then your sitting posture or whatever the factor which was causing that bulging disc, you have to work on that. That should not happen. But the bulging disc doesn't come to normal. But what you can do is you can avoid it aggravating it by doing exercises and just following proper posture and daily activities in a very well manner.
Question from Sangeeta again. Can you suggest 2 to 3 exercises for teens who are using phones too much?
For teens, first is whatever the upper back muscle exercises which I have shown you with chain tucks. Okay, so if you will get in the recording, you will see that again. That in that I have shown the chain tuck also, upper back also, and the shoulder also. So whole of your this upper back muscle, upper back area, na, that gets stabilized in that. That's the postural exercises mainly for the people who are having lots of sitting. So that is the best exercise which helps in that. Other than that, the Bhujangasana, that complete back extension, that will also help him, help the team. And avoiding the mobile is the best way to do that actually. But the chin tuck and this upper back exercise which I have shown you, that helps very well.
Can you suggest something for weak muscles?
Weak muscles, mainly you will have to find out what is the reason for that weak muscle. Is it you are not doing exercises, or is it the diet is the problem that it is not giving you complete this strength? So accordingly you will have to see. But for the weak muscles, if you will see, regular strengthening exercises works magically because you are doing regular training to the muscles, right? It is kind of like a training as we are doing homework daily for the children so that their brain gets developed. That's why as we are doing regular exercises and stretching, your muscles also gets developed, right? And along with that, the proper diet, if you are following with proper protein supplement, with your supplement in the sense, you can do it in the normal diet also with eggs or paneer and sprouts and proper water intake. Even that will help you. But you have to just change the things, get the good habits and follow it for the lifetime. It is not like that you will just do for the 15 days and you will feel better and then you will leave it. Okay. These are the small lifestyle changes you have to make it for the better life.
I think these are the questions. If anyone has extra questions, you can just maybe message us, or you can message Dr. Neha also, or maybe you can tell us and we can get the answers from Dr. Neha. Also, I would like to announce that Dr. Neha has her YouTube channel, her Facebook page by the name Physio for You. So you can all get in touch with her for any sort of.
On YouTube or Facebook also, Physio for You, you will get lots of videos. I'm doing all the videos on all the joints, musculoskeletal disorders, sports injuries, stretchings are also there. Back exercises and stretching videos are also there. So you can follow the videos YouTube channel. Also on the Facebook pages, lots of things are there. So that will be really useful for you guys.
So thank you so much, Dr. Neha. It was an amazing session and it really helped us to understand the anatomy of our back. So thank you for taking this up and also
give me a chance to connect with all you people. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, I would like to give a small announcement that even Dr. Neha is a pranic healer and she has applied pranic healing in her everyday life on her patients. And if you'd like to share any experience, Dr. Neha, regarding pranic healing.
Yes, definitely. Because first thing when I got connected with Tattvamasi is because of that. Because I was into that. I took healing from Pooja, from her friend Babita, and that was the something turning point for my life. Because till then I was just engrossed into the physical body, and when I get connected with them, I came to know more about the energetic body and how it works. And it was completely turning point for me because I got so much attracted to that perspective of life that I started learning that basic pranic healing, then advanced pranic healing I have done. I'm doing healing for my child. She was having throat infection. Just before going to school, she was like, Mama, I'm having throat infection. I just told her, you just go to the school, I'll do it. And I came home and I just did it for once. And once she was back from school, she said, I'm fine. So that was the thing I thought even I can do it. So that was a confident point for me. Other thing, even my mother-in-law, she was having a pain in her shoulder and she was feeling very tiresome and she just told me, just give me healing. And I gave her healing for her heart chakra, her cleaning for the heart chakra and energizing her solar plexus chakra and everything. And in one sitting, she felt better. So I completely believe in this energetic body, and now I feel much more empowered because I can now handle the physical body also and energetic body also. So when the patients also come, even for the lower back pain, I tell them about the root chakra, and also they also feel that yes, this is something we can get connected to. I tell them about the healing. In fact, I have referred many patients here also if I don't get time to heal them in the clinic, and they have given me very good replies that they are feeling better and all. So this is what I am also going to work more in future into, and this is a really interesting part. And I think everybody should learn for themselves and for their family members because it is really, really, really helpful.
Thank you for sharing your experience, Dr. Neha. And it was really wonderful having you. So thank you all for joining in and hope this session was helpful to you. So if you have any questions, you can mail it to us or you can just maybe message us on our WhatsApp number. So thank you again. Take care.
Thank you so much.
Please use these beautiful exercises and hope it is of help to you and your family. Thank you.